Dude, we're recording, so don't say anything embarrassing, okay? For like however long we talk.
I'm gonna drop a couple of F-bombs just to clear it out.
This is you're not allowed to no fucking swearing at all on my show, man.
That's not me.
I know. So, dude, how the hell are you?
I'm so good. You? You look,
I
you look healthy. You've been crushing it in your garage.
dude, you want to know something? So thank you for noticing. And I have been working out 4, 5, 6 times a week in my garage. But I've been doing something that I haven't done in years, and it's when I grew my company, I I stopped teaching classes because I scaled. I had like 20 trainers all
Yeah.
over the world, and so about 15 years ago, I stopped teaching like full time. I'd come in like the queen, I'd wave, I'd do a demo, I'd talk, but I wasn't doing the workouts. And it used to be, back in the day when I was doing everything 7 days a week, I taught every group class, I taught every private class. And for 20 years, that was my body was used to. And so when the lockdown happened, I canceled like 15 classes in March and April, which was over a couple $100,000 worth of training. I mean, that wasn't sustainable for me. And I was like, fuck, what am I going to do? And
Did you return to that old $5 handy J thing you used to do, or
yeah, I had to do that downtown a little bit.
we fall back on what we know, right?
Right. You do that once and they call you, no one calls you a bridge builder. They just call you
Correct.
right.
Correct.
But what was amazing is I just put the word out. I said, hey, I'm going to start teaching live 4 times a week out of my garage. Who's in? I've got I think we have about 125 people in the class now. And, it's ridiculous. They're paying me $6 a class to train with me, like through Zoom,
Nice.
but it pretty much saved us through the pandemic. It's a monthly membership and all that. But here's the whole thing. Here's what I was going at. You were complimenting me how good I looked, and I appreciate that. I think you were going to add some more to that, and I cut you off.
Well, yeah, you did. You stopped me. I was about to just tee it up, and I mean, it would almost look like flirting by that
Right?
point. Yeah.
Go on.
I had to pump the brakes.
Continue. But in all seriousness, what happened was I'm having more fun than the people in the class because my body started to move like a martial artist again. And I'm like, the most exciting thing I do, besides like I run, the high gear and the spear and all this shit, like our law enforcement or tactical training. And the most fun I have each week is preparing and then running these 4 classes.
Yeah, I get that. I write my workouts for all my clients the night before, and I get so fired up about that. And actually, it was funny. I had a guy this week, an NBA guy, say to me, "It's so cool that you're still into this. You've been doing this long." And he goes, "And I watch you look at the sheet that we do, and then you make moves and you pivot off that if it's not working." And he goes, "It's like you still care." I said, "Dude, trust me. The day I stop caring is the day you don't have anybody to train with. I'm out of here." Yeah.
Right.
So that's I get that you feel that way. It's exciting putting it together and knowing that you're creating, not to make it too artsy, but you're creating a program that somebody else is going to derive benefit from. I love that.
Yeah. And you and I share when we met, one of the things, we went down memory lane talking about martial arts and your background. And before I ask you about that, just to kind of like wrap my thought, when I started teaching again, I was like the 25-year-old Tony when I first started and opened my gym, but I've got the 60-year-old brain, like what I've learned. So I've got this passion and knowledge, and I got a bunch of questions for you because I, one of the things that I was most excited when we first started hanging out was these cool synchronicity parallels in realizations about people, about business, about training, about what we wanted to do. But not to make you blush, but anyone, most of my audience are cops, military, law enforcement, fitness nuts, martial artists, and they should if they're on the internet, they should know who the fuck you are. But
you cross different paths, and some people you're surprised, and somebody goes, "Oh, I know who you are," and then other people are like, "Who are you?" And you think,
right.
How do you know? I never expect that.
Do you have an elevator speech when someone says, "Hey, I'm Joe Blow. Who are you?"
Yeah, it's funny. I use that when I talk to trainers. I go, "What's your elevator speech? What do you mean? How do you sum up your training? If you're talking to someone and they ask you what you do, especially if you're looking to build your clientele, what do you say?" And I'll usually do it in a seminar, and I call, the dude in the front row.
Right.
And I had one guy once, and he goes, "I'm a trainer." I said, "Oh, what kind of training do you do?" He goes, "Fat loss." And I go, "Dude, client loss." I go, "You can't get me. You can't. I mean, what does that even mean, fat loss? You've given me zero imagery to picture what training with you is going to look like." So now it's, and then
Right.
there's the elevator and I'm out. So, yeah, I mean, I do, it's mostly based on peripheral heart action. So shunting the blood from the upper extremity to the lower extremity, from a time standpoint, it's efficient. From a physiological standpoint, it's efficient. It's not the best for bodybuilding. Like if you're looking to gain size and become like this massive muscle monster, I'm probably not the right guy. Oh, well, we could do that, but there are way better people than that for that than me. But if you are looking to improve body composition, improve physical performance, improve mental acuity, hand to eye, all those things, and do it in an environment that's fun and ever changing, then I think we're probably the perfect guy. We're probably the perfect gym. I'm the perfect guy, or Brad, who trains with me in my gym. Brad Siskin is probably the other perfect
Right.
guy.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, and your gym it's
Good,
like,
good energy in there. I just came from there now. One of my sons was doing a jiu-jitsu class with a Bellator fighter who I was lucky enough to be able to corner him and say, "Would you work with my son?" And he said, "Absolutely." And he was in there
wow.
with
Nice.
my 21-year-old who turns 22 tomorrow. They had a ball.
Nice. Are they in the downstairs room? Just like you just moved some shit around?
There's probably put some makeshift mats together, and I realized that my mat game is pretty weak. I need to get new mats.
Right.
But they still had a lot of fun, a lot of just technique work. It was cool, very cool.
Yeah.
It's fun, anytime you go back and watch guys working in the arts, or you get back into it yourself. It's always fun. Opens your mind.
For sure. Let's go there for a moment. Were you into martial arts before you got into the fitness, or simultaneous?
So when I was a kid, I grew up overseas, and we had a summer house in Spain, and I got sucked into the nightlife with some of the kids, and I was 15, and dinners at 10 o'clock, and then you're out to the clubs until 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in the morning. And my parents were like, no, this lifestyle's got to stop. So, and I was a little chubby, and my mom hired a guy for me right across the street. And it was one day martial arts, Chinese Kempo actually, and one day working out with weights. And I had never been exposed to any of that really. And it was cool. And it definitely curtailed my going out at night. That's for sure.
Right.
So that was 5 times a week. And then after that, I got into American karate, the Jan Wellendorf brand out of in North Carolina when I was at Duke. And then I did out here Taekwondo, and then I did Krav Maga, and then I did some jiu-jitsu, and then I went back to Taekwondo. And then, life catches up with you, and I just stayed. It was way more in the gym. I had less time to get in and out of dojos, and it was more time in the gym. So.
You have a bag at your current facility. Do you still get down there and smash the bag? Is that like just part of your?
It's part of it, but it's funny. One time I posted a video, exercise video. A girl who's far more well versed in social media than I am said to me, "You need to post workouts of you working out, videos of that." And I go, "But nobody cares what I do. They want to know what my clients do." She goes, "They want to see you exercise." So I started posting those, and she's right. People like that, but they definitely pick you apart.
Right.
And I put one of different strikes on the bag, and I do it really just for fitness. And I even wrote in the caption a disclaimer about this is not for boxing. This is not martial arts. This is really just heart rate elevation, interval training, hand to eye coordination, and letting your body feel contact. And there were 2 dudes who went after me in the comments, like, as though what I was doing was blasphemy and how dare I. And I thought, you know what, I don't need to do that. So yeah, I do get down with the bags every now and then. I play with it. I have that bob
Right.
thing to hit. And so and some aqua bags, which are terrific, and other bags. I think mine are Century. I think I have an Everlast. I have a variety of them. Great to work on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The man, I'm just, if anyone listening to this, I mean, if you haven't seen Gunnar's Instagram and the gym, like literally it's if you're inside, it's Disneyland for like anyone into fitness. There's every piece of equipment, but there's two amazing levels. There's actually like two and a half if you include the running track.
Yep.
He's got a ton of kind of combative stuff on the first level, and then the upper levels, all the equipment and stuff like that. But it's a private gym, so you can't see. You can only enjoy it unless you become a member. You can only enjoy it through Instagram and live vicariously. But it's amazing. So we're going to jump around, of course. You started martial arts. When did you start getting serious into the fitness stuff? And then was there a moment when you went, fuck, I could do this as a living. I like this.
So I got into fitness in college. All my fraternity brothers were varsity athletes, and I wasn't. Mostly football guys, a lot of wrestlers. And just working out with those guys was fun. I was never going to be the strongest guy in the room, so I thought I'll focus on technique, and I just kept reading, and anything I could read, I was devouring anything. It's like when I read all about your stuff before I met you, about how you just, all the magazines, anything you could get a hold of. I was the same guy with the fitness stuff. And at one point I had a regular job, but I was working out early in the morning, and a guy asked me to train him, and I said, yep. And he asked how much, and I went, we are speaking a different language, but I'm going to learn this. And I started working with him, and it picked up quickly. And I was making more money doing that on the side than I was at the real job. And I never looked back.
What age was that?
Man, that's 30 years ago. So I was 27, 28.
Wow. And did you work in the traditional like Globo gym for a while, or were you private right away, combo?
I was doing, it was funny. I was doing sort of a cat and mouse thing in a gym, not authorized to do it, not certified, and having, God forbid, a real staff member of the gym walk by, I had to make it look like I was training with the person, kind of thing. And then I started doing in-homes, and then I realized I was just spending my whole day driving around, going from house to house to house. And I started singing the AM radio news jingle, and I thought, oh my God, I'm becoming a weirdo. I have a cooler with distilled water and chicken breasts and sweet potatoes and foil. I need to start associating with other people. And so I found a gym that had just private trainers, and I went in, and they let me come in. And within a couple of weeks, I was killing it. There were tons of people, and just hour after hour after hour. And it was financially more beneficial. I was growing as a trainer. Then I started getting certified, and then I kept chasing down new certifications. Any class I could do, I'd fly somewhere on a weekend. I'd fly to Chicago. I'd fly to Orlando. I'd fly to Phoenix. I'd go anywhere just to learn, just to be around, the great trainers, the Paul Checks, the Juan Carlos Santanas, the Mike Boyles, the Vern Gambettas, all those guys. And I'd go and then I'd also go other routes, right? I'd try to talk to NBA strength and conditioning coaches. I try to talk to NFL strength and conditioning coaches, track and field guys. Could I come watch your workout at UCLA? Anything I could do to pick up different drills, different movements, and grow.
Amazing. And that was obviously just intuitive on your part, because there's a lot of people that don't do that.
Yeah, well, I think two things. One, if you are the smartest person in the room, you should go into another room. And if you think you're the smartest person in the room, you should really look around and take stock in who else is there, and realize if you can be honest with yourself, you're probably not. So how can you get better, right? You have to start reaching out, and the more you reach out, the farther you have to go, right? So it was all, I could go to something in Torrance or Long Beach from LA, but if I wanted something that wasn't here, I was going to have to invest in myself, fly somewhere, put myself up in a hotel, go to a seminar, fly back, make sure I could get back in time for my clients in the morning, and it was well worth it.
Amazing, amazing. You know, I had some questions about, you know, guidance and mentoring, because there's, you know, the industry is huge, the fitness industry, the consulting industry, like in that area, and there are a lot of people who call themselves coaches who are really just technicians. Remember, we talked about my technician trainer coach model. You know,
Yep.
you know, people just like, you know, they got a certification one weekend and now they're not coaches yet, and it takes years to become a coach. And one of my questions later, but you kind of answered it, although we will get into it deeper, was the people that really make it in this industry and influence other people, inspire other people, but also continue to grow, they've got that Zen beginner's mind. They're always, you know, I've always said with my stuff, you know, that I would do these seminars. And I remember this one guy, this guy Doug, who had trained with us multiple times, and he'd come, he'd save up his money, and every year he'd come back. And one year I had revamped everything, like done a whole overhaul on our presentation and some of the methodology. And he's watching this, and he's making notes, and all of a sudden he goes, and I see him, he's in the front row, you know, it's a U-shaped thing, but 20 guys, it's one of our advanced trainer things. And he goes, I go, "What's up, Doug?" He goes, "You know, every time I think I'm getting good, you go ahead and change something, and I'm not good now." And I was like, dude, like, do you have like the oldest like Motorola phone that's like the size of a brick, or do you have the latest software? What the fuck do you want from me? I looked at this, first time I said this, I looked out the window. I said, let me tell you all something. I work out 7 days a week. I wake up in the middle of the night with ideas for drills. I write them down on notepads. I can't
Send
read
myself emails. I do the same thing, and I send myself an email so that it's in my inbox unopened when I wake up.
Right. Amazing.
Yep.
Amazing. So I say to him, I said, I looked out the window, I said, "You see those two guys there?" And I look up, if that guy got into a fight right now with that guy there, and while they were fighting, the guy did something to the guy where I went to myself, holy fuck, that was the scariest shit I've ever seen. I would give you guys a break. I'd run outside. I'd take $100 and walk up to the guy very carefully and go, here's $100 for a private lesson. What did you just do? And if what he showed me was something I thought could be transferred to other humans, it means he wasn't an outlier, I would change what I was teaching. I'd give up what we're doing now for if I found something better.
Okay, so yes, and that shows your ability and willingness to adapt. But it also shows that you wouldn't go away. You wouldn't go back and scrap the basics. You wouldn't scrap what you've known, what you've taught Doug before, but you would definitely tack that on. So
Right.
Your presentation, by its very nature, has to change and evolve and grow so that year one looks different from year four when he goes. If not, you're learning the same thing. You're not getting any better.
100%.
I do the same thing with exercise. I'm a big equipment whore. I'm a fan of it. I don't, there's some trainers, all you need is a barbell and dumbbells. Yeah, no problem. Of course. I got it. Yeah. I could also walk to work, but I'd rather drive. It's more efficient. It's more fun. It's the bells and whistles of it. Sometimes I'll walk to work. Sometimes I'll ride my bike, but usually I'll drive. So the same with the equipment. We can do, a barbell back squat, no problem. I may get on a machine. I may do a goblet squat with a kettlebell. I may do it on ramps. There's so many ways to attack it. And I need to do what also keeps my head in the game, right? If I'm phoning it in with the same exercise that I do, every Monday at 5:30 a.m., at some point I'm checking out, and I don't want to do that. And I frankly can't afford to do that.
Right. Right. Do you find that, I want to go back because there's a lot of people listening to this who I'm sure have a side hustle of teaching and coaching. It seems everyone does that. Like I meet so many people that their full-time gig is this, and they go, I like, training people on Sundays or whatever. And then there are people, of course, listening to this that are full-time trainers. When you've got 45 minutes or an hour, 90 minutes, you're working with a client, and you've got, 20 certifications and you're reading this book, what guidance, advice, or what was your process of, because I've seen a lot of people who go to a cert and then that's the shiny ball for 3 months, right? That's all they do. They just completely pivot to that. And if we go back to your example with me and Doug, is the principles and the foundation isn't going to change. Otherwise, there was really never a principled foundation if it can just change. You've got that bedrock. Now, how are you building the metaphoric Maslow's hierarchy of needs of stuff?
So it's like you have the spear system, right? I have a system, and I would call it the nines, and it's a way to put, say, somewhere between 8 and 11 movements in there, but nine's my favorite number. You know, the old saying, dress to the nines. There's it works. And obviously, again, I peel off or I tack on to that at any given moment. And like I say to people, when I have my workouts written, this is a template. It's not a Bible. And since I'm the author of it, I reserve the right to edit at any time. And you have no say in this. I'll like if a certain movement's not working for your body, I'll definitely either work you through it from a cue standpoint. I'll regress it or progress it as necessary, but I probably won't scrap it. Right? I have a friend who's a trainer in Boston, Joe Caligari, and he says, modify everything, delete nothing. And I like that. We're always modifying. We're not just saying we're never doing this movement. That's right. That exercise is bad for you. We're never doing, well, maybe there's a way to. But in terms of taking, like you said, the shiny things, the new things that come in, a lot of the stuff you learn in one of those seminars or in a new book or watching a video, there's going to be a lot of stuff that you can throw away. So especially as you've gone down the road enough, you've put a lot of that through your own colander, right? You've filtered and you try to get what's best. And sometimes what's best is to go all the way back and do the most basic stuff. You might go, just for me, it might be just a hardcore bodybuilding technique. It might be strip sets or just a series of negatives or whatever it is that I wouldn't do with somebody all the time, but this is the right time. They're stuck somewhere. They're mentally disengaged. We've done so many different things that now it's time to go all the way back to the beginning and hone it again. But I don't just come in and do all of everything I got in a seminar and scrap my basics. I've worked too hard to put the basics together. I have too many man hours tried and true to scrap the basics. If you know whatever your basics are, work for you. Plus I have also time served personally, right? Like I train every day. So I know what this feels like. I know where we are in this. I know what that's going to feel like going from this movement to this movement to this movement. I may add something else. I may substitute. I may pull back, but I'm not going to scrap what I've spent so many years investing in myself and putting so many people through these scenarios to second guess it. No chance.
Right. Were you always doing the privates? You said your beginning, you went to a private gym. Did you ever do group classes?
I've done some. I was one of the first spinning instructors out there. The guy who created spinning, Johnny G, became a friend. I used to take his class and he tapped me to start training it. And I go, I'm really not a group guy. He goes, no, you are perfect for this. People love it. And I was successful at it. It was great. It was fun. It was a way to get cardio, which at the time I wasn't a huge fan of, but in a group setting, I enjoyed it. I thrived and I could put my own music to it. So I did it for 7 years. Right. I still do work with Propel and Gatorade and Adidas, and sometimes there are things we do, group stuff, select groups, either in-house or people that they serve. I don't mind it. It's fun. And if I can bring in another trainer friend, I find that we can create some really great energy and have a lot of fun doing it.
Right.
It's not like I wouldn't want to wake up and teach group every day. That's not for me. Right. But I connect with my one-on-one people. I love that. I love watching them grow and get better on my watch. I love that. I mean, I don't take the credit for it, right? Really, all I'm doing is trying to eliminate the gray and keep them on the path, stay out of the injuries. I could do group, but it's not what I would go to.
Right. How different is it in terms of conscious liability when you work with so many different people, from elite celebrities to elite athletes of all, different sports and there's something very different. Let's say you know a skier versus a basketball player. They need general physical preparedness, but the impact on their body is different, and the specificity for speed or stamina, or endurance or resiliency is different. How conscious are you about the way you're programming each person with respect to the specificity of their sport, if that makes sense?
Super conscious. You have to be. Not just the sports have different demands, but some on a team sport, positions within the sport have different demands. A center has different repetitive movements than a point guard. So you put that in. Obviously, the GPP is key. So we do that. And then each person has their own strengths and weaknesses, likes and dislikes. So I'll factor some of that in. And there are going to be some staples that work for everybody, but there are going to be a lot of things that are just for that person. And where we put them in the workout is also key. And you have to make sure that you're engaging the person training, right? In this day and age, if it's awful and it's just grind, they're not going to stay with you. And I pride myself on, I've had a lot of people who've trained with me for 10, 12, 15, 20 years. And that's,
it's amazing.
Yeah, it is. And it's, first off, I give credit to my gym, right? The facility itself is terrific. It's great energy. You walk in, it feels right. You're getting one-on-one attention. You know that the workout was written just for you. You know that I'm executing it in a way that it's all about you. And we have great parking. And I say that, half joking, but parking, right? There are places you go and in LA, it's so overcrowded, and you go somewhere and you can't park.
You're in a fucking bad mood before you get into your workout. Drive around the block.
And that works for gyms, that works for restaurants. I have friends that you go to their house and you're like, where am I going to park when I go there? There's no parking on your street. You have to come down, give me a pass, but then there are no places on the street. And it's just like, dude, let's meet at my house, or let's meet at this place that has better parking. It just becomes easier. So the parking is again, half joking, half not. Parking's key. I work with great people. I've gone through a number of different incarnations of who's in my gym, and the girl who runs the gym, Kaylee, kills it. The other guy who trains alongside me, Brad, are great. And we have great people. We filtered it out where the people who are there for the right reasons. They're training for the right reasons. Nobody wants to be around people who don't want to be there. And the constant complaining, and when people say, do I have to do this? I go, no, you don't have to. I worked out today. This is set up for you. You'll get better. You'll feel better. But if you don't do it, no problem. I'm not that kind of trainer.
Two things that I noticed just getting to know you the few times that we've hung out and then hearing you talk is, there's a lot of trainers that try to kill their athletes. And there's that mindset of, and guys listening to me, that kill the athlete was a metaphor. It was, just crush them all the time. And I was going to say to you, when you said, you got clients that have been with you 10, 15, 20 years, you could have great parking and you've got the best equipment in the world. But if you were an asshole and you didn't know what you're doing, you would only attract assholes, and they'd be gone in 6 months because assholes have no resiliency.
I tell all the athletes when they come in, I go, remember, like if you come in the gym, I'm on Team Tony right now. I am on Team Tony right now. I'm trying to be the best contributor to this team so that Team Tony wins the championship. That's my goal in life. Right. And I've had athletes where I go, look, at the end of the day, you're 22, 23 years old. You're still writing your story. My story is written. If I don't train one more person ever again, if I lock up my gym right now and it's a wrap, whatever I've done. It's the story's written. Yours is still being written. And I'm not looking for co-authorship. I just want you to write the best story you could write. So you're going to trust me to do this alongside you, or you're going to push back and do it on your own. But I'm on your team. So when that's understood, and it can be great, like they can reach new heights. I get better as a coach or a trainer. And that's, to me, where the magic is, right? Just phoning it in, checking off workouts. Yeah, he lifted. Yeah, he lifted. That's not interesting.
Yeah. I want to go back to that because it was, I mean, that's very, very deep and profound. And I think a lot of people miss that, where we're so busy chasing success or accolade or a pat on the back. And I love that, Gunnar. Is that something, did a mentor teach that to you, or was that something you realized, like, hey, like when I'm with you, I'm on your team? And I love that, man.
Well, I'll tell you this, for what I do, different from what you do, I'm in a service industry. And I tell trainers this, you are in a service industry. If you're not here to serve those people, and again, that's my model. There are a lot of trainers, it's a very different model. But for my model, for my zip code, I'm in a service industry. That means I'm grabbing your towel, I'm wiping up sweat, I'm handing you water, I'm preparing your workout, I'm pulling you up off of the floor if we've done a movement on the floor. I'm here to serve you. And if you think you're better than that, or that's beneath you, you should probably get out of the industry. When you hear a trainer say, oh, I fired that client, that's two things. That tells me about your ego, and that's a misnomer. You can't fire someone who hired you. You can't fire your boss, and you have to come to terms with the fact that they are your boss. That doesn't mean you have to take bad treatment or you have to allow people to be disrespectful to you. Not at all. But it does mean that they're the boss and they're paying you. So you can't fire them. You can choose not to work with them. You could quit on them, but by definition, you're a quitter.
Right.
And I try to not do that. I might push someone towards my other trainer because I think we're just not a good fit, but I won't quit on you. And I'm here for you. And I want to get you over whatever hump it is that you're having trouble getting over, whether it's through exercise, whether it's through committing to showing up, even whatever it is. So no one taught me that. I watched, years ago, I watched these guys training a celebrity at this gym before I had my own gym. So that means it's at least 24, 25 years ago, but it stuck in my head. And they had this celeb, and they had this guy doing push-ups, and he did them, and he got up to the top on his last one, and the trainer put his foot on the celeb's back, and he drove him down on the floor, and he goes, 2 more. And I was horrified.
Right.
And I said to the trainer after, I said, why did you do that? Why would you do that? And he goes, we always like to let him know who's boss. And I go, he's the boss. He hired you. He's paying you. He goes, no, in the gym, I'm the boss. And all I thought was, no way that lasts. And the dude was gone in 2 weeks. And I'm assuming it was because of that kind of treatment, maybe something else, whatever. But I look at that and I think people, especially high net worth individuals, people who are used to a certain kind of treatment, a certain kind of luxury in their life, yeah, they'll get down and dirty every now and then, whether it's in a self-defense class or a workout or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, they're not going to keep coming back to that because they don't have to. And they're going to seek out like-minded people, service-oriented people who are providing them the service that they're looking for in fitness. They want it to be similar to other experiences they have. They have the wherewithal to pay for it. They're going to pay for it. They know what it's worth, and they're not going to take that kind of treatment on a regular basis. So I think that's a short-lived approach if you're a trainer.
I agree. And it resonates with what we were just talking about. This, you're in the service business. Even, you've got the classic Karate Kid, Cobra Kai school versus, the Mr. Miyagi approach. And it's funny because I don't know if it's cultural or just through osmosis or whatever, but you've got trainers that they have that attitude, like, you're lucky to train with me.
Well, and they beat them down and they yell at them and they're disrespectful. And it's sort of it's who can out alpha the other. And I look at it and go, that's not what this game is about.
Time for it, yeah.
I'm not trying to alpha you. I know where I am. I know who I am. I know what you've hired me to do. I know what I'm trying to provide for you. And if we butt heads or if there's pushback, maybe we're just not a good fit. And I'm going to certainly try to find you someone who works better with that. Or I'm going to try to show you why you don't need to push back. I'm on your team. I'm doing this for you.
I love it. How long ago did you become like the guy in LA where you became Gunnar Peterson, right? Like, was it like 10 years ago, 20 years ago?
That's so fun. I don't know, man. I've been doing this 30 years.
Well, where I'm going with this, let me interject. Here, where I'm going with this is there's a certain point, I don't remember when I was in enough magazines and known around, you know, I used to live in Montreal, that I couldn't go to a tournament or a martial art place without people, you know, before Roadhouse, you know, I thought he'd be taller, or now people are eyeballing me. So you go to these events and you've got, you know, do you have any classic examples or stories where you've gone to work out because you're at some weekend event, and you're in someone else's class, but everyone knows who you are, and then it gets weird? You know what I'm saying? Is like,
yeah, you definitely have that. It's never bad. It's to me, it just means those people, or if they say, I saw you on television, I usually say you shouldn't be watching that.
right,
If they read your stuff, that's nice. When it's somebody who's read your book, to me, that's, wow, you're super invested. When it's somebody who says, I did your video series, I still do them, that's cool. They're invested. Sometimes just people, yeah, they know who you are. I mean, in a gym setting, they know who you are, because if they're in a gym setting all the time and they're following trainers and exercises and people on Instagram, yeah, but it's not weird. It's never weird. It's you know, there are a lot hotter hells than that, right? It's fine.
I think that might be just the curse of the martial art world, because there's that unconscious, I thought you'd be taller, you know, that bullshit of
right. In your world, it's got to be different. It also has to be, I could take him.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
We don't have that. We don't have, I can bench more than you. I mean,
Right.
maybe that's in powerlifting circles. That's not in my world.
Right. Hang on, I got my 5 dogs freaking out. 1 second, let me close this window. Let's pivot real quick to lockdown, pandemic. How did you and the family adapt with that?
We were good. I saw my house more in the daylight than I ever did. That's for sure.
Right.
Which was great, but then it's also, wow, we need to paint that. That's broken. There was a lot.
I want to interrupt here. Before this all happened, I used to, you know, try to get up to LA every week, 6 weeks or so, and I get these text messages from Gunnar, like, you know, ungodly 5 a.m. Hey, come over, or 4:30. What time do you work out, at 6 or 4:30 or?
Yeah, 5. I'm up at 3:45, 4, and I'm at the gym, and I settle a few things on the computer, and I'm yeah, I try.
Yeah, I text him, go, hey, I'm up this week, and he go, yeah, meet me at the gym at 5, and I'm like, if I wake up, I'll let you. Like, holy shit. So how did that affect your routine and all that? You're obviously you were
No,
home.
it didn't. I still get mine in. I can't
Right.
get off that track. If I do, bad things happen. So mine still happen. The client stuff, I was sending a lot of workouts by email, some FaceTime, answering questions. Hey, no, move to your left. Hey, so that. And for the Lakers, we did a lot of Zoom workouts, which were challenging, but still fun. The guys who joined, great guys, hard workers, and it was fun to just be able to talk trash. And
Right.
we made it work, and now we're pulling out of it, and we're back on. And my gym smells like a swimming pool because we're spraying Clorox and alcohol, and you know, everything is so sanitized. I mean, honestly, if you feel like giving birth, we're the perfect place to do that.
Right.
I would say.
Didn't the WHO just release something that saying, or CDC released something that they don't think it sticks on metal now?
Yep, I saw that, and I was like, thank you so much. Why did I order all of these clean materials in bulk? But yeah,
craziness. So the gym's back on. I did want to point out and make a point that what was amazing was watching you with your son, your young one,
my little guy,
in the workouts. And you know, I don't want to start talking about dads and stuff like that, because as much as I love my dad, I don't remember ever doing sports with him. I just remember him working his ass off and never being around.
But doing that, just to defend your dad for a second without knowing him, doing that so his family could have what he thought was important for them to have. That's what my dad said to me one time. I may have missed a lot of things in your life, but know that I was out working so that you could have those things. And he didn't say it defensively. It was more like, I don't know if you know, but I'm going to explain this. And that shed new light on me. I have zero, you'll never see me on a talk show complaining about my parents,
Right.
Perfect upbringing. Great.
Yeah, and if it came out this way, I'll clarify that. I never, I try to find that balance, being totally consumed by, obsessed with what I do and trying to make people safer. I work 7 days a week, but I try to do it in a way where, like every night I tell my kids, good night, I love you, in the room right now. My daughter's 18 and 22. So forget about getting a hug and a kiss. It's like knock on the door. Hey babe, what do you want? Okay, close the door. Okay, love you. Okay, bye. Right. But so I wasn't knocking my dad. What I was getting at, even though it might have come out like that, it was how amazing it was that it's documented. Because I've got like 16 millimeter video, like outside in the backyard. It's the 60s. My mother's smoking a cigarette with 10 friends smoking a cigarette. It's black and white. There's my father over there, and I'm on like.
Maybe I should take up smoking so I could color these videos differently.
Right. Yeah. Colored circa 2020 pandemic, but it's just amazing that he's going to be able to grow up and see that, and the workouts are great, but it was really fun watching you work with him.
It was fun. At the beginning, he definitely was not down with it, and there were some side vibes to get him to participate, but then it got good. And then I tried to put them together in a way from a fitness standpoint that challenged him, different planes of motion, right? Different directions, push, pull, uneven carries. And to him, he didn't know what he was doing. He was just doing stuff. And then we finished it with the wiffle ball thing. And now he's asking me, Dad, can we do an obstacle course today? Can we do an obstacle course?
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It's good. He's in.
Yeah. No, it's great how you're doing like when I'm teaching fighting and our gun fighting and knife stuff, I'm telling people like primal, gross motor, complex motor skill, fine motor skill. This is when you're shooting, is it fine or complex or gross motor? And most people immediately default to, well, it's a fine motor skill or a complex motor skill. I go, well, but standing in a gunfight, moving away, trying to move for cover is a gross motor movement. You can't isolate. If you look at, I don't want to turn this into a gunfighting call. How often do you go, can we talk about the fact that you shoot?
I go to a shoot.
Yeah, you love shooting.
It's a perishable skill. And I heard that from a Marine friend of mine that we both know. And I thought, he's right. It's like riding a bike in that you get back on and you know how to ride the bike. But the way you ride a bike now is different from if you haven't ridden in 20 years than when you get back on a bike. Same with firing a gun, same with getting on a skateboard, same with lifting a weight overhead. All those things are perishable skills. And if you're not working them and honing them, it stands to reason that they're gonna diminish.
Right. And what I was getting at with your boy and what you were doing, and he didn't know what he was doing, but most people would just say, hey, we're just gonna do deadlifts, or we're just gonna run. We're just gonna do, and I was watching because I understood it, the psychology of it, but elevating his heart rate, getting him to run, getting him to move, getting him to drag things, pull things, push things, and then go into that complex motor skill where he's got to control his breathing and his focus and then do something. It was cool. And it just reminded me, just when we're talking now, when I see so many really good shooters doing stuff where they're just like on the range, not moving, just going bang, 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 blasting, and then they'll shoot, and then they'll run somewhere and then shoot again, where if you're replicating what you need to do in a gunfight, there needs to be some stuff you add to that, almost like the obstacle courses you're doing. I mean, obviously.
Well, I think we talked about this. I took Pat McNamara's class.
Sure.
Again, trying to learn, trying to get better. I flew there with 4 buddies last summer, and we trained under Pat Mac, who's brilliant with that stuff. And it's advancing, learning to fire, learning gun safety, and then it's carrying a sandbag, dragging something dropping it, firing, holstering, and it was, I mean, talk about getting somewhere and knowing that you don't know anything.
Right.
Haven't trained. I mean, firing on a range is one thing, but when you go and you're outdoors and you're adding, I guess it would be called a tactical component to it or a real life component to it, changes everything. And like you said, heart rate elevation is a big difference carrying a sandbag, whether you're carrying it down by your side or you're
Sure.
it over your shoulder, and then you're firing. Now you're firing with one arm. It was super interesting to learn. And, you know, he has the metal targets. So, you know, there's not like, oh, I think I got that. There's like ping or there's
Auditory. Yeah.
yeah,
Nice.
it was fun. I love that. We just said, I was with my brother-in-law, Sean, last night, and we said, as soon as the time clears up and we know what our schedules look like, it'd be worth booking that again and going back there and getting better. Super fun.
Yeah. No, he's not only is a great instructor, but he's a trip. I've known him since before 9/11. So he was actually in my class on the 9/11 down at Bragg. So, you know, it's we stay in touch, as you know. A couple other questions regarding the pandemic stuff that I always ask people, and I love asking people who are, I mean, you don't try to be an influencer. You're one of the most down-to-earth guys that I've ever met, who's got a status that would suggest that maybe you walk around and you go, hey, get me that water bottle and get me a towel, you know? So it's super cool and refreshing to meet someone like you. So question for you, best thing about the lockdown?
More time with the family, more one-on-one time. And one of the pillars of health that I always strive to improve is my sleep. I'm pretty good on nutrition. I'm good on training. I work on keeping stress levels down. I'm great on hydration. Sleep is always tough. It's not that I have trouble sleeping, it's I have trouble going to bed. And the lockdown allowed me to be home obviously earlier and go to bed earlier. So I did way better on my sleep.
Nice. Did this affect your business in any way other than what you shared before? I mean,
Yeah, for sure. We lost, you know, a lot of billable hours, and I'm sure some people won't come back just because the whole concept of training in a community environment, even though it's very small. I mean, there's just two of us in there. I'm sure some of them, they're just done, which is fine. And hopefully, you know, you have to think bigger than you. Hopefully they find a way to stay healthy and happy at home or wherever they choose to exercise. So yeah, financially we all take a hit, but again, more downtime. I watched more videos. I read 3 books.
nice.
Yeah, and so I got better. So now that we're back, the training itself will be better for sure.
Good. Worst thing about the lockdown?
Probably seeing people I care about live in fear. So unintentionally, I'll bring that back to what your whole thing of no fear. Um, being scared of things they heard on the news, being scared of the unknown, feeling vulnerable. I hate to see my wife feel like that. I hate to see my kids feel like that. My parents, anybody in my world, you know, friends. I just hate to see them be scared. And I get it that it's something that it's a serious state. The virus is real. The contagion is real. What can happen to you if you do contract it is real. Then I had a doctor say to me, the virus is real, the numbers are false. And so you wrestle with that. I hated seeing the people I know and care about struggle with that. And I wanted to give them not false hope, but you want to give them confidence. Look, stay clean, stay healthy, be smart. And there's a good chance you can avoid this. Just, you know, numbers wise, if it affected 1% of the population, or I mean, we can play with those numbers all day long. If you're doing the right things, you're not likely to get it. So just be smart.
Right. And if you do get it and you've been doing the right things, you'll beat it because of your immune system.
Right. Statistically, you should beat it. And I'm not going to make you a promise, honey, don't worry, you won't get sick. And if you do, you'll be fine. You won't die. I'm not going to say that, but I am going to say, be smart, do the right thing before, during, and after, and we should be able to ride this out.
Right. it's crazy how the government keeps flip-flopping, and you know, the latest stuff, which can be very disturbing, is, hey, COVID-19 is still real. You need to social distance. We want you wearing your mask, shelter in place unless you're protesting. You know, you can protest, but you like that, and that's the government. Like, there's government agencies saying that, as I'm sure you saw. I mean, that's just insane.
Yeah, there were things that were a little arbitrary. They were tough to understand, and all I have to think is maybe they have reasons that I haven't done enough research, and I'm sure they've done more. So you just be respectful, and you want to make sure, you know, everybody has their own comfort level. Some people, it was complete and total quarantine. Others, it was limited. Other, you know, everybody made their own choices, and hopefully we all come out of it smarter and better and healthier.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Um, are you doing your own thing, or are there certain sources you're getting info? You mentioned you spoke to a doctor, Frank, because you can speak to a doctor that'll tell you this is the end of the world, and then another doctor that says, hey, it's, you know, this is.
I spoke to both those guys, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, you speak to who you speak to, you listen, you try to process the information as it comes in, you know, use your head, look around, and like you said, you can do this, but you can't do that. You're 6 feet apart in the line to get into the grocery store, but when you're in the grocery store, a guy can walk right past you in the aisle. You go, hang on, that doesn't seem to match up. So, you know, there were some discrepancies in it, but I know we're dealing with stuff we don't fully understand. So again, be smart.
Right. Did you go out a lot?
No, I didn't.
I think I went out 3 or 4 times. I can't do the mask.
Yeah. I mean, when I went out, I just actually had to go to the DMV to get my real ID the other day. And I got there with the mask and sat in the chair 6 feet apart, and dealing with the lady at the counter, I had to be 6 feet back. What'd you say? I'm back up here. She'd go back behind the line. And then she'd say something. I can't hear you on the line. And it was, it's a new song and dance. We're all learning it. So
Right.
Play nicely in the sandbox and be patient.
Good advice. Good advice. Oh my God.
Those were my inside thoughts.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
thoughts were darker and more aggressive, but
Of course.
that's what I kept telling myself.
Right. Right. And now you're trying to kind of like mentor. This is your facade, but the inside Gunnar was a little bit more. Listen, Karen, I need you to understand. Hey, I ask everybody this question about this, and I've had the most amazing answers without making it political. If I put you in charge of the USA right now, what would you do?
Hire somebody smarter than me.
Okay. That was 1 or 2 people said that. A lot of people were, you know, but it was like, surround yourself with the best. And
yeah.
And
you have to be, again, you have to know when you know what you don't know, you're smarter.
Right.
So you say, I'm good at economics, but I'm not good at domestic policy, then you hire the best domestic policy guy. I'm great at foreign policy, but I'm not that well versed in how to handle military law enforcement things. So I'm going to handle the foreign policy, and I'm going to hire somebody to walk me through this. Yeah. Right. Easy. Right. I'm not, you know, if I'm not the best speed coach out there, but I'm great with strength and power development, I'm going to shore that up and either learn everything I can from a speed guy or bring them on staff.
Right.
For sure. Can't know everything. You can't be the best at everything.
Awesome. While we're going to wean off of the pandemic, I want to slide into the rioting, the looting, and all of that stuff. Obviously, nobody likes to see that. No one likes to experience that. My son lives up in the West Hollywood area when this thing broke out there. I sent you a text when, I think on day 2, you know, a couple of texts where I was thinking about my friends. I'm sort of isolated here, but when they started threatening to go into neighborhoods and stuff like that, and my gun safe opened up and I got a lot of shit. And I was like, I'm not going to be like sitting here on my ass going, should I have got my gun out? But what was going on in your mind when that thing fucking kicked off?
I talked to some guys I know who run security companies, and they told me a couple of things to do around the house to make yourself less of a target. make sure you know where everybody is, make sure you have a plan. If you have to leave, make sure you have a safe word, make sure your doors and windows are locked, make sure you have enough water. Just again, play it smart and don't draw attention and don't enter the fray.
Right.
You feel bad that people, whether they are or they feel disenfranchised, and that's an awful place to be, and to have to fight back against a system that seems overwhelming. That's an awful place to be. And you don't want to Pollyanna the whole thing and say, can't everybody just, relax and chill out, because they can't, and certain things need to be dealt with. And hopefully it can be done through discourse and respectfully, and without, you hate to see innocent people lose property or have their things, somebody's caught in the middle where protest is happening, and it's somebody who has nothing to do with anything, and then
Right.
their business gets destroyed. That's sad. And then you say, well, collateral damage, in the military, that's considered a successful mission if the objective is attained. I got it. But on a human level, you feel you're compassionate for people working and people trying to keep their lives together. So I do feel for that.
Right. Wow. Very mature answer, man.
Yeah, I had more time during the pandemic to think about it.
Wow. Yeah. No, it's interesting, because there's my head, just because of the focus of what I do and who I coach and teach, my research, it kind of, it's not that it colors it, and it's not an echo chamber thing, because I believe I can look, and I've been called a right-wing, racist guru wannabe online, and there were like people like just crazy shit. Even though I've said, hey, there are bad cops and there are racist people, and bad people get jobs. So you can have any job has bad people in it. And unfortunately there are bad cops, and there needs to be reform, and there can be way better training. It's ridiculous. And, but also don't be a bad guy. If you're a bad guy and you meet a bad cop, bad shit's going to happen. So I wasn't trying to like sweep it under the rug, but I was able to, like Fitzgerald said, that the sign of some level of intelligence is the ability to hold two opposing thoughts in your mind and continue to function.
Right. I mean, it comes down to the people. It doesn't come down to the vocation. Like you said, they're bad people in every job. They're bad trainers. They're bad cops. They're bad athletes. They're bad cooks. They're just bad people. So,
right.
Yeah, it's hard to discriminate against a group of people from a certain vocation, because there are X number of bad ones, and those people need to be weeded out. In fact, they should be weeded out of every field, right?
Right.
That's a bigger job.
Right on. Okay. Switch out of this darker topic into some stuff that's more fun. You get to train some very cool people. And I know, there's an element of confidentiality in some of the people you work with. Who can you talk about that you consider like an amazing athlete, like someone that you were surprised just because, and obviously, I'm talking about like some celebrity who you can talk about, because there's probably someone who goes, well, no, I got an NDA. I can't say anything about this person. Is there anyone you can talk about and just go, this person's work ethic and crushes?
Again, the people I work with, the work ethic is there. That's why they're coming to me. I'm not going to people saying, hey, come train with me. Come on,
Right.
I want to see if you have it in you. It's people who reach out to train. So they're coming there for the right reasons and with the right intentions. I've worked with some people, some athletes that just the work ethic is crazy. You just go, how does this person keep cranking like this? And then you work with some celebrities who have the same drive and the same, you say, if you had the athletic potential that these athletes had, you would easily be a pro athlete. You're just so, your drive is so, it's pure, it's unrelenting. And that's great. Oh, so-and-so, well, if I had a chef, if I had a trainer, you're like, no, you wouldn't.
Right.
Because they have that inner fire that is hard to duplicate and hard to find.
Is that, for lack of a better term, work ethic, something someone can cultivate, or people are just born with it? What are your thoughts?
Oh, I think you can cultivate it for sure. I think it comes through routine and ritual and
Yeah, like your boy saying, "Dad, let's do an obstacle course." If
he
you do it enough,
wasn't saying that 3 months ago.
right?
Never. And after the first two, he wasn't saying that. But when he started to experience some success with it, it started to grow and he wanted to do it. And you see that with people going to the gym the first week. I mean, I don't know, I haven't run the numbers, but when people book too many the first week or the first 2 weeks, there's going to be a cancellation. And then you watch it over time, they either fade away entirely or they just don't cancel. And one stat I do keep is cancellations. So I know over the last trying to think when I started keeping it. I have not kept it for the 30 years I've been doing this, but I'd say definitely safely I have 26 years of billing records, right? Because we bill for those. And I think my cancellation rate sits at about 8% over 26 years, which I've had friends who are trainers who have a 50% cancellation rate. This year, I have a cancellation rate sitting right at about 5. It may be 4.89 or something. I saw it the other day and I thought, that's not me. That's these people have committed to this and are so focused, and it's completely voluntary, and they just don't cancel. They're whatever I book, they're just not missing, and that's a testament to their work ethic. And they get to a certain place in their life where they know that what they're doing in the gym contributes to other successes outside of it, and they're not going to forego that. They're not going to go into their day-to-day without getting this workout under their belt because they know that that makes them better. So that work ethic is, I mean, I see that across the board with the people who come through my gym.
You're a humble man. A lot of that has to do with this, for lack of a better term, this empire that you've built. And it's really you. You've got Brad, but it's you. And there's an empathy and an intelligence when someone creates a relationship with you, and it's truly a relationship. It's not just,
Sure.
It's not just, I just wanted to throw that out there. If some of my favorite videos you post, of course, when you're traveling with the Lakers and is there any backstory to the panoramic?
The dumbbell curls around the world?
Dumbbell curls around the world?
Two backstory. That's funny you asked that. Two backstories behind that. One is sometimes I travel to places and you ask the hotel, other than the hotel gym, is there a gym around here you recommend? I like to see different gyms. I like to see how gyms are run. I like to see how gyms are run well. I like to see ones that are run into the ground. I like to see different equipment. I like to see people's idea of training. I'll go hire a trainer. And sometimes the hotel just doesn't know. Well, I mean, we have a great hotel facility. I'm thinking, well, don't you have anything within 2 miles, 4 miles that I could catch an Uber to? And
right.
So I seek them out, and I have a couple of guys on the strength staff with me, Chatton Hill and Ed Strite, great guys, great strength coaches, and we will go and check these places out. And then I think I want people to know about these places. Some of them are just spectacular. You go, wow, this is such a hidden gem. One comes to mind, there's a place called 504 Fitness in New Orleans, and you're like, this is just a sick gym. There's another one in New Orleans too. I'll think of the name, and you just go, if I hadn't tracked this down, nobody would know about it. And who knows who really knows about it just because I put it on Instagram. But I like to give that back. There's a place in Milwaukee too. I think it's called Milwaukee Athletic Club, and they're just, you wouldn't know it driving by it, and you can ask the hotel, they might not know it. And when you get in there, you go, I want to train here every time I come through this city. And I wanted to show, something with an exercise, just fun. So I thought I can't put certain things because not every gym has
right.
But they'll all have 25-pound dumbbells. And so I throw that in at the end. And so you're giving a little love to the gym. You're showing people that there are places to train in these different cities, and you're showing places that you might not have found. There might be a little off the beaten path, but we find some gems, and some of them not so great. But don't tell me you could. This is the tack on. Don't tell me you couldn't train when you went to Oklahoma City, because there are gyms. There is a YMCA, and it has enough stuff, and it's clean, and it's nice, and the people are cool, and you could have gotten your workout in if you want, because I got mine in. So that's what's behind that.
I heard you say that sometimes you'll hire a trainer. To this day, you'll go somewhere and just.
Oh yeah.
That's amazing.
Oh yeah. I mean, I may learn something, I may get better, or it may spark a thought that I can create something to help make it better. There's a terrific book out there on coaching. You touched on coaching in the beginning, called Conscious Coaching by Brett Bartholomew, who's a friend. And if you haven't read that as a coach in any form of coaching, not just strength coaching, it's so deep. It's almost like taking a psych class. And so when I go and if I see a trainer, if I hire a trainer, you start to go, this guy is that way. This guy, he could be so much better if he just did ABC or A, B, C, D, E, F. He may need more than that, but you see the potential. You know, and I meet with trainers here in LA. If somebody writes me and they say, hey, can you talk? I go, sure. And I'll either take a phone call or have them come to the gym. And some guys, you just go, you're a diamond in the rough. And some people, you're like, you should probably find another line of work.
Right.
It's not
Will you tell people that?
No, it's not for me to
Right.
extinguish anybody's dreams, but I will say, you have to make sure you're doing this for the right reasons. You have to make sure you can answer the bell every day. You have to make sure that it's not about you, it's about them. And I try to throw out some things so that maybe on their drive home, they reflect and they go, oh God, I'm not who he says I should be. Not that I'm saying what I'm saying is right, but it is,
Right.
for a group of one, but it's a lot of hours. And I've seen a lot of trainers come through the door. And if you're just not dynamic, like the thought of spending an hour with you, walking me through a workout, and then 2, 3, 4 times a week, that's not doing it for me. You always get that question, how do you motivate people? I don't motivate people. You're motivated when you come to me. That's why you came here. You're a motivated individual.
That's great. That's a great, yeah.
I can't get you to get up off your couch. If you were sitting there thinking, I'm not working out today, there's nothing I can say to you that's going to get you up and off that couch. If you are making $20 million a movie or $10 million a year on your TV show, or you're an athlete and you're getting paid $8 million a year, whatever it is, and you've decided that day you're not working out, there's nothing I'm going to say to you that's going to flip that, right? That I don't motivate you like that. You want this so badly, you will not be denied. You reach out to me and I am going to roll out the red carpet and make this an unbelievable journey towards your goals.
I love it. When you're talking about, the diamond in the rough versus, you might want to give this another thought. One of the things I do some mentoring for people in the self-defense community. And one of the exercises that I have them do after, they'll spend like a month working on this presentation, this project. And some of it is like, watch, they got to record the shit. And then we watch it as a team and it's always hard, and of course, when you're with people in a 3-dimensional capacity, you can be much more animated and you can have rapport, doing something on your iPhone, very difficult. And, but one of the questions,
it's 2 different mediums.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, I mean, that's the limitation of us having to do it, not just in the pandemic, but I've got people all over the world. Not going to tell a guy in Belgium to fly in for his meeting. He's got to send stuff. So we do this online, even pre-pandemic. And but one of the questions, and you reminded me of it when you're talking about, meeting somebody who wrote you the right letter, asked you politely, hey, can I pick your brain? Can I spend some time with you? I asked these guys, can you just watch this demo of you teaching this move and explaining it? Based on what you saw, would you hire yourself for a private lesson?
Yeah.
And a lot of them are like blown away by that question. And they still want to be in the game, but they realize what they got to work on.
Yeah, yeah. I say that my other trainer, like I said, Brad, in the gym, I'll say, hey, remember when we're doing this, we got to dial it up. You have to keep them engaged. You're not motivating them to do it, but you are keeping them in the moment. And
Right.
I had a kid once who trained with me, and I said, you got to make it fun. You know, the exercise by definition is difficult. It's an arduous task. It's not comfortable. You're taking them on purpose out of their comfort zone. If there's a way to make it infuse levity, that's my way. But if there's a way to keep it engaged, keep it coming. And he snapped at me and he goes, not everybody's a stand-up comic. And I go, take a class, go down to the Comedy Store, go to the Laugh Factory, go to the Improv, take a weekend class and learn how to string together a joke or a callback or segue. Learn these skills because they're conversation skills, they're interactive skills, they're relationship building skills. Whether you use it as a trainer or whether you get out of the training field and just use it to make a friend or, develop a romantic relationship, those are things people as human beings need to work on. Not just as a trainer, but as a trainer, what's your persona? Who are you? What's the vibe going to be during the workout? Are you just Tommy technical and all you're talking about is, greater trochanter, ischial tuberosity, and the person's like, after the third, nobody wants to hear that anymore. If it sounds like, someone jammed a medical textbook up your ass and that's the only way you talk, you're going to lose a lot of people, right? If you go hardcore politics one way or the other, that's polarizing. You're going to lose a lot of people. You just have to be prepared for it. I'm not saying to be a yes man or be a fake or, a chameleon, but I am saying you have to learn to kind of go with the flow on that, right? We keep ESPN on in the gym. I'm not leaving a news station on. I don't need to light that fire. So you have to decide what experience you want to provide for them. And when they leave, you have to be able to look at yourself and go, did I provide it? So like you say, watch the tape on yourself. Would you hire that guy? Right? If you're angry and argumentative and that's not the guy who's going to get hired. I wouldn't.
Right. Great. I love that. Winding down, advice for aging athletes.
Focus on recovery. And that doesn't mean just lying on the couch. That means everything that's available out there. There's so many tools, whether it's straight body work, whether it's the percussive devices like the Theragun, whether it's there's so many things. I'm thinking of 50 of them, not 2 of them. If you want to go into hyperbaric chambers, if you want to do cryo, if you just want to improve the quality of your sleep, there's so many things out there, and you have to look at not just the time you're putting in on the field or on the court in the weight room, but then you have to look at decompressing and activating parasympathetic nervous system. You have to make sure that your body can downregulate so that it can go into, not everything is not a catabolic event, right? You want to make sure your nutrition is on point. I would say nutrition and recovery would be the 2 that I would push towards the athletes that are on the, where the window's closing. Because I trust that your training and your sport specific work is on point.
Right. No, great answer. You've given so much information out, just even philosophical, not specific to, being a physical fitness trainer, but just coaching and mindset. Is there some guidance that whether you've shared it before or not, or something you wish you would always said, like almost like I wish somebody had told me this when I was young? And in your case, I think you were I hate saying you're in the right place at the right time, but I mean that in your mind. Like you knew when you did that first private class and then you went to the private gym, you knew that this was going to work for you, and you trusted that, and you embraced that journey. But is there anything you would want to share to, and I say that again, not to beat a dead horse, you've offered so much like subtle psychology in from, hey, you're on that person's team. You got to be in this business to serve, continuing education for yourself. You can't be the smartest guy. And there's so many gems in this. Was there something we didn't cover on guidance for somebody who wants to make it in this industry?
Yeah, you can't be bitter. You can't be bitter. You can't go into this thinking that guy's having my career. I'm better than him. I should, or her. I should be doing what they're doing. I should be training those people. I should have that job. You can't do that. You can look at that and they can serve as inspiration or aspiration to you, but you can't carry around that negative of, if I had that client, I would have a platform. If I had, I had people who commented on my backyard when I did the obstacle courses with my kid. And I was like, it's not about my back. First of all, I'm older than you, dickhead. I earned my backyard. Come on. Don't hold that against me.
Right. You've only been working for 30 fucking years. That's my backyard.
Yeah, it's my backyard. I mean, and what? And you also don't know, like, you don't know if I'm completely upside down and this is all smoke and mirrors and I'm deep, deep, deep in debt on contemplating, cashing out tomorrow. You don't know those things about, so don't take it like that. Just look at and go, hey, cool obstacle course. What can I do with what I have available? Can I do it in my backyard? Can I do it in a parking lot? Can I do it in a park? So don't be bitter. That's super unattractive. And I got
to tell you, that's amazing. I did not expect that answer.
That's repellent for people. It is repellent. Being bitter.
So fucking true.
It comes out it comes out of you, and people sense that and feel that. And if they got a new car, but you need a new car and it's their fifth car and you are driving a hoopty junker that you still owe on, don't hate on them for that. That comes out, and it comes out in your training, and it comes out in your speech, and people pick up on that, and they'll pull back over time, consciously or subconsciously. They will pull back because just, don't be that guy. Don't be bitter. Don't be that girl. It's super unattractive. Be happy for other people, right? It's what we teach kids, right? We get what we get. We don't get upset. Happy for what we have, not unhappy for what we don't. If that's what you got and you want more, keep working to get more. Don't begrudge the others who already have it, because you don't know what they went through to get it. And there are a lot of people at the top of the food chain who worked a lot harder than than you saw, than you can understand, or than you will. So you gotta just be cool about it.
That's so good, man. I can think of so many people where in so many different professions that were, you could see that they were jealous, but bitter is bitter is a very specific word. There's an edgy anger to the jealousy, like there's that, oh my God, you're so lucky. Like, and I hate when people I work my ass off and then they call me lucky. No, this wasn't luck. Luck was, it was sunny that day when I was doing, but I love the word bitter, man. And I think a lot of people listening to that, hopefully you don't get in car accidents if you're listening while you're driving, because that's like one of those things where you kind of take your eyes off the road and sit back. And I know that even in myself, over the years where I'd be working, and there'd be many times where I said, like, why is this guy sucks? Why does he have this attention?
Nature, we think that. So instead, train yourself to think, I'm so happy that guy got that job. Good for him, man. Good for him. That's awesome. I'm so glad that guy got that contract. Oh, that's awesome. Good for him. I hope he enjoys it. I hope he does the right things with it. And over time, you push out, you can train yourself to have those feelings and those thoughts. Sure, you might have a knee-jerk jealousy or anger reaction, but get rid of that. There's enough of that stuff out there. Just be positive about it. Yours is coming. Keep working. And if it doesn't come, then learn to find joy in working towards its coming. It really is. Enjoy the process.
Yeah. Now, is this is very sage information, sir. Is this just things you've realized, or do you have some mentors that kind of like Gunnar?
So the three people I listen to the most are probably my brother, my mom, and my dad. all three brilliant in their own right, all three with very different world experiences, and they keep anything I say. If I'm wrong, they'll tell me, and they just shed a ton of light all the time. And I'm lucky to have that resource. They're all available by phone, text, or email anytime, and they'll always give it to me straight. And they're all three smarter than I am, so it's nice to know that I can just, hey, I think this. Well, you're wrong, and I go. So that's great. And also, my wife balances me out. She comes at it from a very different place than I do, and if I have an aggressive or an angry knee jerk on something, she can easily walk it back and tell me why it shouldn't be that way, and show me the light on that. And it's a great yin and yang there, big time. And I think everybody needs that. I mean, if you don't have that, I feel for you, and not that we can't make it on our own, but it certainly is great to have. If you have a good support system, you're head and shoulders above a lot of people, and you have a real head start.
It's awesome. So true. Is there anything that you want to say, share, or talk about that we haven't covered?
No, this is good, man. It's what you do inspires. It's great to see. Knowing you, I'm fortunate to know you. Getting to see behind the scenes in your world for people to see just through Instagram and through your programs. It's great that you provide that and put that out there. And it's comforting to know that you're always evolving it, and you're not just like, this is the system and this is how we do it and that's that. And you're like, this is the system, and you're always taking in and processing. That's encouraging, because it means nothing of yours is really ever dated, right? It's all live, which is nice.
It's gotta be.
Your work is living and breathing, and that means that at any time it's a valid resource, and I like that.
Appreciate that. Well, I can't wait to get up there and hang again, man, and get by the gym now that things are starting to open up.
It's wide open. Let's do it. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, Tony, very much. Keep crushing it. It's inspirational for sure.
Let me know when you start working out a little bit later than 5 a.m, and I'll meet you.
Yeah, don't hold your breath.
Gunnar, so good to hang out with you. I appreciate you sharing your time. What's the best way for people to meet you, connect with you?
Gunnar Fitness on Instagram is probably the best. I have a website, but lately there have been a ton of weird website hacks, and I don't know, somehow they've learned to hit websites for promotional stuff. So those are harder to look at. But Gunnar Fitness on Instagram.
I'll share the links in the show too.
Thanks, man.
Okay, man. Be safe. I'll see you soon.
Bye, Tony.
Take care.